And we are live on a Saturday night, which for us in Australia is the longest night of the year, the solstice. Of course, that means in other parts of the world they have the longest day of the year. It's a funny old world where things are upside down. Oh, I just sneezed multiple times just before going live. So I apologise if I'm a bit sniffy. I think my eyes look weird. Do my eyes look weird? Or am I just old? Is that what's going on? I'm just old. Oh, that's real. That's a thing I have to accept. Yes, if you're watching this back at whatever time, I was 8 p.m. Saturday night, start of the longest night of the year. Well, sunset was 3 hours ago. See in a few hours, sharing the online world with various online peeps, and then retiring once more to Sleepy Bobos. And we'll see what happens in the intervening couple of hours. All sorts of surprises. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tonight. I don't know what people in the chat are going to want to talk about. Maybe we talk about notable events that happened on this day. I do my usual look up and see what happened, if there was anything particularly momentous that was recorded as happening on this day. A bunch of very old things that mean nothing to me. Which is it? There's an interesting one. In 1782, the US Congress first adopted the Great Seal of the United States. So there you go. Oh, and Queen Victoria succeeded to the British throne on this day in 1837. There you go. There's actually a few interesting things happened these days. Samuel Morse got a patent for the telegraph. Good old Morse code that is still in use. West Virginia became the 35th state in 1863 in the United States. And Alexander Graham Bell installed the world's first commercial telephone service in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So a couple of interesting bits of proto-technology have commemorations on this date: the telegraph and the telephone. And possible parent killer, Lizzie Borden, was actually acquitted of the murders of her father and stepmother on this day in 1893. Little bit of Americana there. I do remember seeing a TV movie, The Legend of Lizzie Borden, and Lizzie Borden was played by Elizabeth Montgomery, who was most famous for the lead in Bewitched, Samantha. And there was a little poem, supposed to be a children's playground chant. Lizzie Borden got an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. There you go. My brain works in really strange ways. Remembers really bizarre shit like that I saw in my childhood, and then forgets someone's name after I've been introduced to them. What is wrong with you, brain? Catherine, good evening to you. Making a hot chocolate. That's nice. It's a good evening for it. Definitely a good evening for a hot chocolate. I, as is my typical self, am actually having a cold drink. I don't actually drink hot drinks that often, but sometimes I do. Hi, Invisible Chicken. That's a good question, Catherine. How old was Lizzie Borden when the murders happen. Let's quickly look it up. Lizzie Borden, born in 1860. She was suspected of the 1892 axe murders. No, she was 32, so she wasn't young. She was 32 when her father and stepmother were hacked up, and she was acquitted. And she actually stayed in the town despite everyone else thinking she was an axe murderer and not wanting anything to do with her. So, wowzers. And nudging the Commonwealth of Massachusetts elected not to charge anyone else with the murder after Lizzie Borden was acquitted. In other words, they were convinced it was her and there was no point pursuing anyone else. They just fucked up the prosecution. So she was actually 32 when the axe murders of her father and stepmother happened. So why was she the suspect? Her initial answers to the police officers' questions were at times strange and contradictory. Initially, she reported hearing a groan or a scraping noise or a distress call before entering the house. 2 hours later, she told police she heard nothing and entered the house not realizing anything was wrong. When asked where her stepmother was, she recounted Abby receiving a note asking her to visit a sick friend. She also stated she thought Abby had returned and asked if someone could go upstairs and look for her. Sullivan and her neighbour, Mrs. Churchill, were halfway up the stairs, their eyes level with the floor, when they looked into the guest room and saw Abby lying face down on the floor. Most of the officers who interviewed Borden reported they disliked her attitude. Some said she was too calm and poised. Despite her attitude and changing alibis, nobody bothered to check her for bloodstains. Police did search her room, but it was a cursory inspection. At the trial, they admitted to not doing a proper search because Borden was not feeling well. They were subsequently criticised for their lack of diligence. There you go. So, yes, Borden appeared at an inquest hearing. A request to have a family attorney present was refused. She'd been prescribed regular doses of morphine to calm her nerves, which is going to affect you in a murder trial. Her behaviour was erratic. She often refused to answer a question, even if the answer would be beneficial to her. She often contradicted herself and provided alternating accounts in the morning. It sounds like if she was a murderer, she'd have one story and stick to it. But the whole thing, like the stress of the thing and that they had her on morphine, it raises questions about her mental competence. Why would her story keep changing all the time? That's ridiculous things to do if you actually just did a double murder. It really, to me, makes it sound like there were issues with her mental competence, and that, yeah, she may have had some mental health issues. So, but it also is pretty clear the police totally fucked up the investigation. Surprising for police. No, Catherine, there's in the US, there's a thing called double jeopardy. If you are tried for a crime and found not guilty, you cannot be tried again for the same crime, no matter what anyone thinks, even if new evidence is uncovered. So like technically, if you were on trial, say today, for murder and you were found not guilty in a trial, and then sometime after the trial, a video recording came out that showed you clearly committing the murder, you could not be put on trial again because you'd already gone through trial once and been found not guilty. I'm sure a lawyer would poke holes in what I just said, actually. Charlie and Lion Spider, hello. How are you this fine evening? This is a fun topic for the start of a live stream. Famous axe murder from American history. Oh, this is a cool one. During World War II, 4 prisoners in Auschwitz, they dress up as members of the SS, steal an SS staff car, and they escaped from Auschwitz. Nice. Excellent. That's one you love to see. Actually getting one over on the Nazis. Just post the World War II, the United States Secretary of State approves the transfer of Werner von Braun and his team of Nazi rocket scientists to the US under Operation Paperclip. Yes, people who possibly should have faced trial for war crimes were protected because the US saw it was to their benefit to have these rocket scientists working for them. And they were, of course, ultimately quite important in nuclear weapon development and the space program, for that matter. It's one of those little things. Charlie, your Opa escaped from Dachau. Well, that's nice because Dachau was even worse than Auschwitz. Auschwitz is the one that's best known because I think it was the biggest. But Auschwitz was a work camp. And I know Treblinka was just an extermination camp. That was in Poland, I think. It was just an extermination camp. Like people were not kept there for very long at all before they were murdered in industrial quantities. And I think Dachau, I'm not sure if Dachau was a work camp or a fucking extermination camp. But my history is not that good. But I seem to remember, by most estimates, Dachau was worse than Auschwitz. Of course, you know, it's orders of bloody. It's just shades of what's worse. You know, when they're bloody murder camps for fucking killing millions of people. Gecko, how's it going? Good to see you. Okay, Charlie. Okay, so Dachau was a POW camp at first. Okay. Yes, and of course, the Nazis did change their strategy a couple times. Almost out of my... how much of my blood orange juice is left? Probably enough for 2 more of these drinks. I could do the blood orange with lemonade. It's a really nice drink. I like it a lot. So I have to get some more when I get through that. What else interesting happened on this day? A rare June hurricane in 1959. A rare June hurricane struck Canada's Gulf of St. Lawrence, killed 35 people. There you go. What else? Following the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Soviet Union and the United States signed an agreement to establish the so-called red telephone link between Washington and Moscow. Oh, yes, for the first time in 1963, they decided there should be a direct line of communication between the heads of state of the two empires. So if things got really nasty, they could just talk directly to one another. So, dude, you don't want to do that, dude. So, it's Jaws's birthday, 1975. What's that? Oh, fuck me. 45 years? Jaws was released 45 years ago. Holy fuck. That's a long time ago. Happy birthday to Jaws, which was the highest grossing film at that time, and is actually more or less responsible for what's become a standard in American film entertainment, the summer blockbuster. The studios trying to release really big films in summer. I mean, they didn't know Jaws was going to be as big as it was. But yeah, around that period, the late 70s, is like Jaws and Star Wars, and yeah, there's a couple others. So you ended up with the summer blockbusters, which is weird because in Australia that's the middle of winter. But also back then, films took so long to get to Australia. It could be summer. Charlie, it is indeed shark defamation and more than a little silly, but still a very well-made film. The inspiration for Jaws was a real thing that happened I think it's in the first half of the 20th century, and it was in New York State. There was really an unprecedented succession of severe and some fatal shark attacks, possibly by the same shark, possibly by more than one shark. But a lot of them were in rivers because, of course, when the river's close to the sea, it's an estuary and it's salt water and sharks can come up. So it was this, big, terrifying summer in New York that people kept getting attacked by sharks, which didn't normally happen. And it basically got the idea into people's heads. A shark could be a man-eater. And it was, really fucking scary. That was basically the inspiration for Jaws. Gecko, your birthday on Monday. Well, happy advanced birthday for you. Catherine, until relatively recently, films and TV shows would take anywhere from months to a year to reach Australia. Some primetime TV shows in Australia were fully a year behind in the US because there was no other way for you to see the shows. There was no home video for TV shows. There was no internet, obviously. So the TV stations and cinema chains didn't really have any pressure to get the films to us quickly. So we would wait for and not just TV and film, music too, as recently as the 80s. So when I first got into indie music, stuff would often be released in the US and Europe weeks, if not months, before it was released locally. So we'd go to these specialist record shops that imported the records, and you pay double price to get the record a couple weeks or months earlier than the local release was supposed to be. And that was mid-80s. That was still and that was definitely still happening with TV and film in the mid-80s. So the home video thing narrowed the gap a bit, but it's really only since the internet, like we've got to the stage where most major film and TV releases are simultaneous or close to simultaneous around the world. There are still some weird variations to that. Sometimes we're treated as a test market. Sometimes we get films before US or Europe does, and they want to see how the film does here. Usually it's a little bit later here or the same time, but yeah. Ooh, jellyfish. Got to wear pantyhose to the beach, Charlie. Yes. What are the two really dangerous ones we've got to worry about? So for years we've known about the box jellyfish. Has the really long trailing tentacles, which can kill you. There are those little ones. I think they might be the ones you're thinking about, Gecko. They have a Japanese name. I'm just going to search dangerous jellyfish. Because I think they have a Japanese name. I think. Okay, according to this site, the 5 most poisonous. The sea wasp, yes. I remember hearing about that. And they're dangerous not just because of their lethal poison. This large box jellyfish is nearly invisible. Also prefer to hunt during the day and in shallow waters, making them more likely to come in contact with swimmers. Okay, so there's a few different species of box jellyfish, apparently. This is the one I was trying to think of, Irukandji. And I think, yep, that's the one that Gecko was thinking of. They're tiny. Tiny jellyfish that does not play around when it comes to its venomous sting. Once believed to be found only in Australian waters, recent sightings have also been recorded in Florida, Japan, Thailand, and even in the British Isles. Dun, dun, dun. And so it's only about this big, and it's really dangerous. The sting produces what's known as Irukandji syndrome, from which the victim will feel severe pain that can last up to 12 hours, burning sensations on the skin, nausea, vomiting, excruciating stomach cramps, as well as muscle cramps in the legs and arms, serious cardiac problems, and a strange psychological symptom that causes the victim to experience feelings of impending doom, which make them actually beg for death. Jesus, that's probably, oh my God, that's so fucking weird. Patients believe they're going to die. They're so certain they beg their doctors to kill them just to get it over with. That is fucked up. That is absolutely fucked up. Oh, wow. What's this one? It must be a common name. The fire jellyfish. Another Queensland one. And another. So there are a few various forms. So it says the top 5. 3 of them are variants of the box jellyfish. One's the fire jellyfish, and one's the Irukandji. God, that whole thing about making people beg for death, that's fucking weird. That is really, really fucking... Like, your body must be sending so much pain and distress signals to your brain that your brain is just completely fucking overloaded. That's horrifying to think of. That is absolutely horrifying. Ugh, and they're this big. They're this fucking big. Oh my God. That's just messed up. Hey, Luke and Stella, how's it going? Yes, apparently vinegar helps, Stella, with the jellyfish stings. Lines buddy, you were followed by box jelly once while camping, and an officer rode the boat to retrieve you. God damn. Yeah, no, they're not good. Jellyfish, I mean, jellyfish themselves are really cool. I think they're beautiful and fascinating and wonderful. Just these deadly ones are fucking terrifying, quite honestly. And you see the really, really big ones? They're wild. Well gifted, Aspie. Bonjour to you. Yeah, Gecko, from most accounts I've heard, the murder hornets thing was overblown. But the appearance of predatory species like that at all is bad, not good, something we don't want. Because first, just as a human, you don't want to get stung by one because it's hideously painful. But second, they're an invasive species who can wreak quite a bit of devastation on the ecosystem. So yeah, even just a little appearance of them is bad. So I'm just looking at the bottle. I got, guess who can't stop buying booze? I got this today after thinking about it for a couple of days. I found it in a bottle shop. The 23rd Street Distillery Brandy, known as Not Your Nana's Brandy. So I'm looking forward to give. Might actually, because now I've got a whole bunch of brandies there. I might do, seeing I've been doing taste tests of other things, the rums and the whiskies. I might do a brandy taste test tonight. Do a comparison of all the brandies I have, and see, which one is the winner. And am I on a winner with the? This is my first Australian brandy. This one comes from South Australia. A century-old distillery in South Australia's Riverland, reignited with new creative passion. Old Chardonnay. Try that again. Old Chardonnay barrels don't die, but some go off to heaven, maturing this elixir that blasts brandy off its doily and into the present millennium. Toasty oak unite single and double pop distillation characters of vanilla, honey, and apricot, mixed with irony. Okay. So this is from Renmark in South Australia. What's the alcohol content? 40%. Okay, yeah. Potent. Yes, Charlie, we have some nasty hornets in Australia, definitely. Would you line spider in Air League? You learned water rats don't appreciate you stepping onto its nest. Yeah, I could imagine them being quite defensive about that. Yes, and we have a couple of aggressive marsupial species in Australia. The one we is quite colloquially called the native cat has bitey little teeth, and if you back it into a corner, will have a go at you. Yeah, Luke, the Australian cyber attack didn't happen. Morrison was lying. That was just some weird fucking PR thing of his. Yes, there is activity, and yes, China's probably actively involved in at least some of it, if not much of it. But Scummo having that press conference where he basically directly stated a big attack is happening now, that was a complete lie that he knew was a complete lie when he was saying it. Aspie, you've been camping and heard the bear. See, that's one thing we don't have in Australia. Big things aren't going to attack you while you're camping. Small things are going to bite you and poison you. Okay, I had to take your truck ignition cylinder out, take it to a locksmith, get new keys. Wow. See, you know how to take stuff apart, though, Gecko, and hack hardware and whatnot, whereas I'm completely useless with things like that. Ooh, Catherine, thinking of getting some gin premixes for a party next week. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Or, just mix up a big gin and tonic yourself. Get a nice bottle of gin, a nice bottle of tonic. Definitely recommend Fever Tree in its various flavors. Get a nice bottle. It would be cheaper and you get more volume if you did it yourself. Get a nice bottle of gin, a nice bottle of tonic. Mix yourself up a thing of gin and tonic. You can pour out individual things of, put some lemon peel in it. That's always nice. Gecko, roos won't really bust into your tent. The worst thing they'll do is hit your car when you're driving, and that is not good. Is that a song? Well gifted Aspie, climbed a rocky mountain just because it's there. Crossed the Great St. Lawrence, said Mercy Bakur. Oh, gosh. Yes, I agree, Line Spider. Midges, which are, I don't know, gnats, like tiny mosquitoes. They're not mosquitoes, they're midges. But yeah, what do they have in New Zealand? I think they call them sandflies. Tiny little fuckers that will just bite you and suck your blood. And yeah, you're coming in the rash. Luke, is Scummo trying to make us hate China? Yes, he's being very adversarial to China. Charlie, goannas might come into your tent, but they just want to say hello. And do you have any food? Goannas can be incredibly forward in their quest for food. Not really dangerous, even though some of them are really fucking big. Usually not dangerous to humans. Oh, I've heard that colloquialism, Gecko. Chiggers. I thought they were like ticks or something, burrowed into your skin and get under your skin. I don't know, though. Catherine, doesn't look bad going to a party with a bottle of homemade cocktail. I don't know. Why does that look worse than going with premixes? I don't know. Annette, oh, you want to join in the live stream? Wow, that's all caps. You must really want to. Stella, you reckon Ruse want to cuddle for body heat? Yeah, my funniest encounter with a goanna was when I was holidaying in Darwin and we're doing a day trip through Kakadu, I suppose, and we were doing a bit of hiking in one bit, and we stopped at a picnic ground, and there was a bit of wildlife around, and there were a lot of birds, and this really quite large goanna just sort of strolled through the picnic ground, not really giving a shit about the humans. And it was obviously going to, from the way the birds reacted, it was going to go up this tree and either try and get a bird or get in the nest. And the birds just went mental. They're just like, their distress calls are just going. They're making so much noise and they're really agitated and flying around. And the goanna just sat at the bottom of the tree, absolutely motionless, like for 15 minutes, didn't move. And the birds, like, because I don't know, they're birds and they're stupid. It's like they gradually forgot the goanna was there because it wasn't moving. And they gradually settled down. They stopped making noise and they stopped flying around and they're all settling, which is obviously the goanna's ploy. And I remember some of the tourists with us, because they were fascinated that this goanna was just sitting there and just was not moving. They went over to take some pictures of it, and the goanna still didn't move. But I just thought it was funny because I guess I'm, anthropomorphizing the goanna, but I just imagine the goanna just sort of looking at them as they're taking pictures. Go away. Go away. I want the birds to forget go away. You are ruining you're drawing attention to me. You're ruining everything. Go away. Go away. Go. Leave. But it was very patient. Yeah. So what your brother, when you're camping in Millstream, a roo snored like a chainsaw, came in to cuddle up. Oh dear. Blue tongues are cute, Charlie. Apologies if you don't like them, but I think blue tongues are really cute lizards. They have those really nice, smooth scales, and the blue tongues. I like their blue tongues. Shinglebacks are a bit less attractive. I think they're like a cousin to blue tongues. They're a bit less attractive. But blue tongues I really like. I think they have really nice skin, and they seem to have a pleasant demeanor to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm imposing that on them from outside. Charlie, you reckon they can be vicious? Okay. I've never had a bad encounter with one, so I'm not sure. Yes, Luke, anthropomorphizing, adding human characteristics to an animal. That is a thing I am certainly guilty of. Guilty of with my cats, guilty of with the various things. Yeah, geckos are pretty cool. And there's lots of different sorts of geckos. Oh, gosh, invisible chicken. You have blue tongues, which isn't good because you have two small dogs. What, do the dogs harass the blue tongues? I doubt the blue tongues would harass the dogs. You got to worry. That is one thing you have to worry about in Australia, particularly in some suburban gardens, snakes are a real possibility, and inquisitive dogs can get bitten by the browns, which can end a dog's life very quickly. So yeah. So, Stella, lizards are awesome. Some of them will fuck shit up like bungaras. I'm not familiar with that name. I'm going to have to look that up. Bungara. Oh, okay. That's another monitor. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Monitors get really fucking big. Goannas are monitors. Gecko, you've got to go to bed. Been up all day, driving all night. You should get some rest, man. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, Charlie, minor birds suck. They're good because they're an introduced species. I don't like introduced species. And yes, I could imagine minor birds harassing a dog, actually. I'll give Aspie, you love moose, except we're in the middle of the road. So I think a lot of people underestimate how big mooses get. Because, yeah, I've seen the occasional photo or video of a huge male moose, like in traffic or something, and they're well over 2 meters tall with these really fucking huge antlers. Like, they're clearly incredibly dangerous. They're very large. They're borderline prehistoric. They're so fucking big. Well, Catherine, there's a difference between myna, and this is confusing. I found this confusing. MYNA, the Indian myna bird, is introduced and is bad. And then there's an Australian bird called the noisy miner, MINER. And it's kind of a similar size to an Indian myna, but different colouring. But they're a native, so they're cool. Indian myna birds, though, not cool. Luke, you just got bin chickens. I remember when the bin chickens first appeared in Sydney in like the 90s. Just because when I first moved to Sydney, which was in like 89, they weren't around. And then after I'd been there a couple of years, you suddenly noticed, like in Hyde Park, the fucking bin chickens. And what is this about? And it's because their natural wetlands had been, destroyed by development, and they were desperate for food, and then getting stuff out of bins, and that's why we call them bin chickens. But yeah, it was weird. I actually remember them appearing. Just take it for granted they're everywhere now, but they didn't used to come into urban areas. But yeah, 80s, 90s, their natural habitat was destroyed. Oh, apparently, yeah, sometimes the Bungara is called... so that sounds like an indigenous name for them. And they're often, apparently, colloquially called sand goannas. What's this? I'm not going to share this because I always get copyright things from YouTube. Yeah, it's a Bungara fight. Okay, it's pretty funny. You want to see something pretty funny, you go on YouTube. Someone's got a video, and I don't know, it says, oh yeah, now they're fighting. Now they're fighting. They kind of look like they were hugging or dancing, but they're definitely fighting. So it's pretty big lizards fighting in someone's garden. Okay, I'm gonna join in the chat. Where's the link? Copy to clipboard. Who wants to join? There you go. Just in the mood to have people join. because why not have everyone around? So, okay, we're almost through the first hour. I'm always amazed at how quickly time goes by. Just whizzes on by. Okay. Catherine joined, but she's invisible. That's. Oh, there she's back. And hey, Lee, how you doing?
Hello. I'm back. Sorry, I'm on the couch.
Okay.
Okay.
You got a TV on in the background or something?
Why can't I
Hold
hear
on.
anything? Please excuse me while I go over this
1
street.
sec.
Okay.
Go
All right,
away.
that's better. Yeah, Lee's
That's
got
better.
a TV in the background.
Yeah. Go
Okay.
running through the big TV and over to the laptop. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, blanket.
Got a blankie? Is it a bit cold in your house tonight?
Yeah. That's why we're on the couch. That and it's better to watch you on the big screen.
That's fair enough. All right. Well, I've got
Yeah.
very effective central heating in my house, so I can lounge around in, even though it's cold outside, I can lounge around in a t-shirt inside. Yeah, that's better, Lee. How's your day been?
My day's been pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, my day's been slow and boring and not much is happening. So, yeah.
I was playing taxi driver today, taking my offspring to event with their mum's side of the family, and then picking them up again afterwards. And
Yeah.
and that's about the well, yeah. To me, the most exciting thing is I got the brandy that I've been looking for. So
Yeah.
I'm excited by that.
Mm.
Got to do a taste test of this, I think.
Oh, lovely. Maybe it tastes nice. But we'll try it after.
Yeah. All right. I want to. Yeah. Actually, that's the thing I want to do. I want to line up. Got about 5 brandies, I think. I can.
5.
Yeah. I can line them up and do comparison. Decide which one I taste. Wait a second. I'm just going to move something into the sink.
Okay. How's your day been, Aspie?
Been good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've not been up to much. I've just been sitting around watching TV. I just couldn't be bothered going on a run. So, yeah, it's been cold.
Yeah, I noticed that Daniel Andrews was bagging South Australia.
About what this time?
He's just like, honestly, nobody wants to go there. Why would they want to go there?
It's not that bad. Plus, we have some great wineries and distilleries. So,
Yes, we do.
yeah.
Okay. What have I got?
I mean, but is Melbourne or Sydney much better? They've just got more people.
Too many people reaching for a piece of cake, if you ask me.
All right.
All right. Sorry, I'm just like hearing like fireworks or something. Or yeah, something's banging and popping. Can you hear it, or is it just me?
Just you.
If I had a hands-free device, I would go outside and see if I could see it and show it to you, but I can't be bothered.
That's fair.
I think I can hear fireworks, or I can hear popping of some sort that sounds like fireworks.
It's probably fireworks. There's always someone who's got fireworks. All right. So open my bottle.
Oh, pop.
Got that good noise? Oh, it smells. Oh, man, it smells good. It smells sort of sweet and a bit like Christmas pudding. You know, like...
Oh, I love Christmas pudding.
That smells really good. All right, so I got to try my Aussie brandy. South Australian, as we're talking about South Australia.
Yeah.
All right. put that away. So,
Yeah, we don't want Daniel Andrews.
Nope. Nope. How
well, it's
is
really
it?
light.
Light?
Yeah, well, it's definitely warm going down, as you'd expect from something that's 40% alcohol. But
Oh, yeah. 40%, you expect that.
what do they say it is? One time?
One time I had an Asian drink so terrible I named it Oyoko.
What was it? What was in it?
It was like a sake of some sort. It was many years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's popped up.
Oh, and it's here. Oh.
Hi, kids.
Hey.
I thought you were I'm sorry, sweetheart, but I'm actually on live stream now. Hey.
So yeah, this I was looking. They're saying it tastes like vanilla and what are they saying? It's toast yolk, single double distillation, vanilla, honey. Yeah, it's definitely sweet. Like, the first thing I notice is it's quite sweet. I can taste the vanilla. I can't. It says apricot. I can't taste any real fruitiness in this, but
Happy Mule. Oh, sorry. Yule.
Yule.
Yule. Yule Day.
Yule Day.
This is my fourth.
All right, there we go.
No.
And what is in it?
It is a Brandy Alexander. It's my second Brandy Alexander, my fourth cocktail for the night. I had friends over.
All right, so I've had an Adelaide brandy. This is a French brandy.
Okay.
Napoleon.
Oh, tell me about the brandies. I love my brandies.
Yeah, so I'm doing a big taste comparison. Totally different aroma between the South Australian brandy and the French brandy. Totally different.
It might knock your head off. Might be off with your head.
What's the difference in this? It's a bit mustier. Like, it's the difference is not pleasant. The South Australian one smells better than the French one.
What's the brand?
The French one or the South Australian one?
South Australian.
This is one I've been trying to get for a little while. It's called 23rd Street Distillery.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they make gin, vodka, whiskey, and a couple different brandies. They call this one Not Your Nana's Brandy.
Not Your Nana's Brandy.
I've heard of it. Oh, she's off.
Yeah.
Okay, the Napoleon's not bad, obviously. It's very well-known one. But the taste of it is less interesting than the 23rd Street Distillery. It's not bad, but there really doesn't feel like there's as much going on in Napoleon. Okay, now this is cognac. This is the snobby stuff. Has to come from the cognac region. You can't call sparkling wine champagne unless it comes from Champagne. You can't call brandy cognac unless it comes from the cognac region. And there's a couple other rules it has to follow too. So this is snobby stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, if it's a drink, if there's ever a drink that Winston Churchill would drink, it's probably got a touch of racism in it.
Yes, and he was fond of his brandy and racism. That is true. Two things.
I wonder how much Churchill's hero status plus racism encouraged racism in that generation.
A lot.
What the hell was that?
Like a blender or something going off. Not sure what Catherine's
Not
doing.
me.
Not sure what Catherine's doing. Okay, this cognac smells better than the Napoleon brandy, but it really just smells like grapes. It kind of and it is it's distilled wine. It's distilled grapes. So This mostly just.
Sorry, I was reading the ice tray.
That was me.
What?
Okay.
What do you want? Come here.
Yeah. Just kind of taste like, and the taste is much sharper than the South Australian. So far, the South Australian one's winning just for being pleasant to drink.
Not much.
What have you got, Catherine?
What?
What have you got?
What you doing?
Vodka, Aperol, lemon juice, and lemonade.
Ooh, a bit of a spritzer going on.
Yeah.
It's been spiked with vodka. I like it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going a bit left field. This is American. This is an American apple brandy. Doesn't have as
Apple
much.
brandy.
Yeah. If American apple brandy is called Applejack, and French apple brandy is normally called Calvados. Oh Jesus, that's far too much. I was only meant to sip it.
Okay. One of those. And
Hardly has any aroma compared to the cognac.
Catherine's having excitement there.
I have bad hands anyway, so.
Oh,
Okay.
Alright, and one of those.
Clumsy.
Angry tormented one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically an Aperol spritz that you're spiking with some vodka to give it a bit more kick.
And lemon juice.
Yeah, lemon juice is a good additive in a drink.
Bad thing
Yeah.
though,
Lemon juice and everything. That's what I reckon.
and now the top
I have
is
lemon
up-
juice in mineral water.
Oh,
I put lemon juice in Pepsi Max.
okay. And I'm not a shaking person. I'm just,
That Applejack, because it's apple based and the other ones are wine based, it tastes totally different. What's the last? Oh, this is the last one. Armagnac, another French brandy, has to come from the Armagnac region of France.
let's make it. Okay, so this has 1 shot of vodka, half a shot of Aperol, half a shot of lemon juice, and it's topped with lemonade.
That's a quality bev.
That sounds lovely.
Okay, RC is pretty drunk as well, so there you go. We're all joining in. Okay. I think the Armagnac smells better than the other French ones.
Hi. What you doing?
Very grapey, which is, it's wine, so it's not surprised that it's very grapey. But I'm going to finish with another taste of the South Australian one. Just cleaning my palate because I'm a goddamn professional.
Excellent.
Right. Actually, you know what I'm going to make? I'm going to make an Australian sidecar. One of my favourites, just brandy, curacao, and lemon juice. And I've got an Australian curacao and Australian brandy now, so I can make an all-Australian sidecar.
You know, Angry, they really should start, subsidising this live stream.
Yeah, that's my goal, to have people send me free booze. Okay, and this is going to make, and I would be a bit biased locally, and look, a really serious brandy person would go blah, 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 and say, you know what, this way easier to drink than those French brandies. It's got more interesting flavors in it. Like, they basically taste like wine. They're a distilled wine. This just feels like it's got more going on in it. So I'm really glad I got this. I do think it's better than the other ones. I'll put them back now.
Is Saint Agnes French? I should
No,
look.
St. Agnes is also from Denmark.
It's sorry, what?
South Australia.
It's like right in the northeastern suburbs.
I'm patriotic.
It's like smack bang in the middle of Tea Tree Gully, like in the suburbs, like on Northeast Road. It's just a big vineyard there.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually kind of suspect it might be distilled by the same people. St. Agnes.
Maybe.
Because that's what I always get. That's what always. Whoopsie. That's what always is there.
Yeah, because I thought so. St. Agnes brandy is also made in Renmark. So they might be different distilleries, but they're in the same town. 23rd Street and St. Agnes are both distilled in Renmark in South Australia. So I'm not sure if they're in the same place or not.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, but Renmark is like all that Riverland area on South Australian is all like wineries and whatnot anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you've got Bennock Station, which is a winery also up there.
Yeah.
I went there in 2014 for tasting.
Yeah.
As part of a work thing, I got really drunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, well,
Taste.
a lot of South Australians would probably agree with me on this. The worst drink you can get in South Australia is a strawberry milkshake in Hindley Street McDonald's.
Very specific.
It's legendary. I know that my, I don't know, fourth great-grandfather or some third great-grandfather, he came out 1850s. He went to Adelaide first, but I think perhaps he didn't get along with the other Germans in Adelaide, and so he went to Bendigo, and he had a vineyard there, as well as a mine, and in his 70s, he got very rambunctious at the local council meetings because it was in the local news.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Oh.
But he did have a vineyard.
Oh.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's very nice. And it seems that he was one of those winemakers who was supplying the whole of Bendigo.
Aha.
Yeah.
Right.
He also tended to get into fights and sell to miners, not miners, minors.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Because that's what you did in the Victorian age on the goldfields. Yeah, he was a bit of a naughty boy.
Oh, yeah, I was told by people as soon as I moved to South Australia, they said to me, if you get offered a strawberry milkshake in Hindley Street, say no to it.
Okay.
I think it's another word for giving you a blood nose or something.
Oh, right.
Ouch. Oh, wow.
Going to Hindley Street at the right time.
That sounds super local. I love things like that, those really super local. You don't understand it until you're one of the crowd kind of things.
Well,
until you've had a bloody nose.
One time I had a Scientologist following me to Hindley Street, so I walked into the police station.
That's
cool.
Yeah. Look, this is the milk clarified thing I made last night. It had green chartreuse in it. It's come out almost completely clear. Got to give it a taste test. Oof. I love because you get whey added to the drink when you do the milk clarification, and it just changes the consistency. Even as it pour it, you can kind of see it's got this sort of silkiness as it goes in. It's not just like water anymore. It's got a slightly different consistency, and it's I made a fair bit of it. It better be good.
Drink up.
Oh my God, that's great.
Well, that's good.
Oh my God, that's fucking fantastic. I'm trying to remember what I put in it. I know it was. I'm trying to remember if it was a chartreuse swizzle or something else. Chartreuse swizzle has chartreuse and falernum and pineapple and lime. I feel like there was another one though. I'll know it if I see it. Bugging me that I'm trying to remember it. Chartreuse cocktails. I don't know. Gotta try and find it. I might have been a chartreuse swizzle.
Would there be any like milk?
Okay, I've got to go check on my kids because there are noises.
Noises. Okay. I know.
Okay.
All right.
So, Angry, in a milk clarification, would there be any milk in it at all? Like,
What you get, the milk separates into curds and whey. The curds are solid, and the curds are actually what does the filtering and the clarification. But the whey is liquid, and that gets added to your drink. And that's what I was saying before. That changes the consistency of the drink. It's not just running like water. Like it's slightly thicker. Like I said, it looked, I don't know, silky is the polite way of doing it. As I poured it over the ice, you could sort of see it flows differently to how just a spirit would. And as gross a phrase as it is, it makes for a very nice mouthfeel. Everyone loves to say mouthfeel.
oh yeah, no, I'm just thinking in terms of lactose intolerance.
Lactose intolerant people would probably have a problem with a milk clarified drink. But that's why I did one the other night with almond milk, and that worked really well. And that would really suit someone who was lactose intolerant.
Oh yeah, I know something someone with lactose intolerant wouldn't eat. It's got cheese curds in it. It's got chips with cheese curds and gravy. It's called poutine.
Oh yes, the Canadian favourite. Yes.
Oh,
the French Canadian favourite.
Yeah.
One time, a friend of mine's son, he complained that his gravy wasn't hot enough to melt his cheese curds, so his father, my friend, wrote a formal complaint to the government.
Oh gosh, that's very Canadian.
Yeah.
To the government, not to the place that made it to the actual government. Wow.
Yeah, he made it to the actual government, and apparently the place that made the poutine got into a lot of trouble.
Whoa. They
Um,
really like their poutine.
there's a
Well, this friend of mine lives in Quebec, so of course they love it.
I did
And
find
poutine's
that
a Quebec
one of those
delicacy. Sorry.
food truck parks that was in my neighbourhood. One that was there at least semi-regularly was a poutine food truck, and the guy running it was French Canadian. So he was, bringing his taste of home to Australia. So I think that qualified as authentic because it was an actual French Canadian making it.
That's authentic, all right. Lord of the Fries makes poutine, but they're not authentic. It's
No, they're vegan. Yeah, they're not using chicken. They're using substitutes. Stella was saying, we were talking about lactose intolerance. Stella used lactose-free milk to do a milk clarification, and it worked well because we were talking about it last night. I had no idea if it would work, and apparently it did. So that's good news for a lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of stuff you can experiment with. What you use just has to have a fat content. Trying to think what else I can experiment with. I've done the almond milk. I've done coconut. There's probably
Soy?
yeah. You can try it with soy. Soy's got a really strong flavour though, and I'm not sure. I think that would mess with the cocktail a lot. The flavour of soy.
What about almond milk?
I made some with almond milk the other night. Worked really well.
Didn't taste nutty though, did it?
Well, I made sure I actually made a drink that had a nut liqueur in it. So if any nuttiness translated from the almond milk, that would actually fit in really well. And I don't know if it's my imagination, but it really brought the nut flavour forward from the liqueur. I really liked it.
How about this? You make milk clarified espresso martini with iced coffee.
Yeah, that would work. You make yourself.
That would be nice.
The way you like it, with like full cream milk, and then you have to add an acid content, so like lemon juice or grapefruit juice. But so it would taste a little bit different to a standard espresso martini, but that would absolutely work. You make some iced coffee with full cream milk, and then get your vodka, and all you really need to add is some acid. Maybe grapefruit juice that has a less intrusive flavor than lemon juice or lime juice. Or if you want to sweeten it, maybe use pineapple juice, because pineapple juice works as well. And that would be kind of like putting some sugar in your thing. And actually, Stella's making a good point. Coffee itself is acidic, so maybe you wouldn't actually have to add any of the citrus juice, because the coffee might be acidic enough. So use a strong coffee.
Yeah.
And
No,
that
you can't have it.
I mean, I'm not going to do it because I really hate coffee. But
Oh, yeah. Damn it.
Oh yeah, I used to like Farmers Union, and then it got sold to China.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Luke's just mentioning something about Farmers Union as well.
Oh, yeah.
What's up?
No, fuck off.
Okay, Nettie's getting monstered.
The animals are after my prosciutto.
Yeah, I was going. It's either the kids or the pets, and I thought you're probably not going to scream "fuck off" at the kids, so it's probably the pet. Oh, Jesus! This chartreuse milk clarified tastes fantastic, though.
Lovely.
It might have been a last word. I got it. Why? This is so weird. I can't remember. I think it was a last word. Yes, I think I made a last word. Is gin, chartreuse, cherry liqueur, and lime juice. So I should write shit down because I'm always doing stuff and then forgetting what I did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could come up with a Ringoism maybe.
But yes.
Oh, you
Funny, I kind of did this because I wanted to finish off the chartreuse that I had in an almost empty bottle, and it's turned into like a super yummy drink. Ooh, oh my God, this would be a good one. One with rum and chartreuse. Because rum is a really traditional ingredient in milk punch. The two most traditional ingredients in a milk punch are rum and brandy, because they're the older style spirits that people had easy access to in the 1600s and 1700s when milk punch first became popular. So when you find the old recipes for milk punch, they're almost always rum and brandy, and then usually fruit and maybe tea and other stuff chucked in. But,
well, you could always make an espresso martini sort of drink with like heavy coffee in it, and call it, if you want to go Ringoism, call it a hard day's night, because you'll be awake all night.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I always find it funny people drinking espresso martinis, because sometimes the coffee in them is quite strong, and the people, it's going to be battling with drinking the booze and having the kick from the coffee. Your brain doesn't know whether it's sleepy times or wakey times. But,
that's why I call it a hard day's night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. But then again, people do
really good name.
Oh, see, Lumi's in a D&D stream. Oh, I hope that was fun.
What's that?
That's
my mom's.
Cat's demanding attention. Yeah, Mimsy might come in demanding attention at some point. She's
demanding prosciutto.
Yeah.
They really love it because it smells so good.
Yeah. No, Mimsy has decided she really likes bacon, because relatively recently I dropped a piece on the floor and she'd never shown much interest. But she sniffed it and went, that kind of smells okay. And then she nibbles at it and she's like, this is fucking fantastic. And every time I have bacon out, she gets the smell and goes, that's that stuff that tastes really good. And she's like really just hovering around there going, drop some. Just drop some. Cool.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me.
Or not?
It reminds me of a friend of mine who was like, no McDonald's for my kids. It's all processed and evil. Yeah. And she would say to them, things like, oh, no, people are never fat. They're just a little overweight and things like that. So, she's trying to keep things absolutely just right with her children. But then they got invited to a McDonald's birthday party. And she saw her child bite into her first cheeseburger.
Oh. Yeah. It's all over.
Lying. This is not trash. This is awesome.
Is good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bacon reminds me of a song I saw on Rage.
Yeah.
With this guy calling himself Little Johnny, and he's like, I'm sorry I'm so enormous. I'm sorry I'm so big. I'm sorry that my head is full of bacon. Yeah. There's a guy named Pauline Pants Down.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Oh, yeah.
Please explain.
Yeah.
She's like, except I like Neil Diamond.
That's pretty wild.
I can't believe Pauline Hanson's still around.
Yeah.
She's around. She's around.
Yeah. Oh, it's because the bloody commercial media thrive on controversy, so they keep paying her to appear.
On like Sunrise and stuff. And yeah.
Because
it's like Jackie and Lambie.
All right, go check the timer on my phone.
Oh. Now I want to make another one of these bloody green chartreuse clarified things, because this tastes absolutely fantastic. Actually, I know. I'm going to make another one. I know what the next thing I wanted to do clarified was. I found a really interesting cocktail, and this is the way my brain works at the moment. I find that's a cool cocktail. That tastes good. I like that. Oh, I bet this is good as a milk clarified version. So,
Catherine, do you have no heaters?
I do, but it's nowhere near me. So.
Catherine is really rugged. It's so funny. It's like, I'm sitting here just in a t-shirt. It's got really effective central heating. And Catherine's probably, it might be a bit colder where Catherine is, but Catherine's just like rugged up. And
yeah, it's only like 9 degrees. But because I've got a big living room and only like a radiator heater.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Need a campfire.
What's really good? Those heated throws. They're amazing.
Oh, right.
$100. They're like so worth having, especially if you're studying and you're not moving and you get really, really cold because you're not moving and you're not near a heater.
Mm.
The heated throw is awesome. It is survival gear.
Charlie's saying they want to join, but shyness is getting to, we don't bite, but I also understand if you...
Oh, Charlie, darling, just drink more. You care.
No, I don't know. What's going on?
You're such a bad influence. You're both bad influences, actually. Both just telling Charlie to drink more and the shyness will go away.
Oh,
It works
I'm the
for
most
me.
sober one here.
Yeah, there are a few shots in this, so...
Oh, I have to show you my new glasses. Oh,
yes, please.
Yes.
Pretty.
Oh, nice coots. Yay, we peer pressured Charlie into joining.
Yeah, I got my beer.
What are you drinking?
Cheap beer.
That's okay. Charlie's got a beer. We've all got some. I'm going to make something else to drink. All right.
Just drink more. That's my motto.
I mean, if it works.
Sit back.
And I got my
I
dog.
can only really drink water.
Can't see him, but... Leda, come here.
Before I start drinking again,
Come here.
I'm drinking on an empty stomach. Is that bad?
I can make you more drunk, yeah.
Yes. I put the crock pot on and then it's been taking all day and it's like 9 o'clock at night and not going to be ready for another hour. So all I've had is cheese on toast.
I had, because I stopped by a birthday party today and got some leftovers. So I had for dinner as like a Filipino dish called pancit, which is veggies and rice noodles. Really yummy. And some homemade.
Oh, yeah.
After the vodka is gone.
I know.
Bye-bye, vodka.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, vodka.
Bye-bye.
Bottle. I've had this for
Oh,
like
yeah,
3
birthday parties. Reminds me of that song called Threw It on the Ground by Lonely
I love
Island.
that song.
Tell me about it.
It's like some poser handed me a birthday cake. What am I meant to do? Eat it? Happy birthday to the ground.
Yeah. The Lonely Island is really funny too.
I'm not part of
They
your
do.
system.
All right.
Is that
Oh,
what you're
and
talking
then,
about? Aspie man? Is
yeah,
that what
you
you're
can call me
talking about?
Lee.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
About the Andy
Yeah.
Samberg music video.
change your screen name to Lee.
Well gifted Aspie. That's a lot to say. So Aspie man.
Or Lee, yeah.
Lee. Lee's
I'm
better.
really annoyed at the DSM for calling it autism, and now you can't say Asperger's syndrome anymore. You have to say autism.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, my dog just sat
You
on
know,
my...
if you say that in front of anybody who's got ASD2 or ASD3, they go ballistic.
Oh, yeah,
I'm one of them.
That's absolutely stupid. Like, I've got cerebral palsy, but like I don't look like I have cerebral palsy because it's such a rare type, and like the brain damage happened in such a specific spot, and so basically what I have trouble with is cognitive reasoning and memory and coordination and balance. But
Okay.
with cerebral palsy, you think of people like this who can't talk and can't walk. No offense, that is 70% of cases, but I'm not like that.
Yeah.
So I actually thought, Catherine, that you had ASD and that it was affecting your speech.
No. My mind,
Okay.
my
Well, then I
mind
would
is fine. The reason my speech is like this is because I've got cerebral palsy, and it affects my speech and my balance and my movement. Because when I was born, I had cord prolapse, which is like bladder prolapse. Only the umbilical cord came out first, and kids like a garden hose. You know when you kick and no water comes out in a garden hose. You know when you play that. Yeah, so that happened with the umbilical cord.
Oh.
And all the oxygen stopped going to my head. Brain. So that's how it's
Oh, hang on. So did that happen in utero or during birth?
during birth.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're still extraordinary.
Oh, yeah. I work so hard with it, and because I like go to physio twice a week, and like I run 10 to 15 Ks a week. So yeah, my physio told me to stop running, like not stop, but like kind of.
Oh, there's a doggy. Charlie's turned into a doggy.
Oh, it's pet time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Catherine, but Charlie turned into a doggy.
Nettie's instantly distracted by Charlie turning into a
Hello, Charlie's dog.
Oh, Charlie's came back. Charlie's
For
going
once,
again.
he's not trying to sit on my lap.
That's a
My
Yeah.
giant dog.
on your lap.
I mean, with my case,
name-
I was born with severe autism, and then it developed into Asperger's.
I think the reason
developed
when
into
you're talking about the
Oh yeah, I know Steve. Oh yeah, Steve. If you're from Adelaide, I know Steve. Yeah.
I'm going to make a bit of noise now.
Sound of happiness.
Oh my God! This is my first one. I'm making a sidecar with my recently purchased Australian orange curacao.
Yeah.
Very newly purchased Australian brandy. So this is the all Aussie sidecar. Call it. I already decided I'd call this a Mount Panorama because when I was in Bathurst, there were motorcycle races in Mount Panorama each Easter, and the sidecar races in particular were really exciting. So an Aussie sidecar I call a Mount Panorama. I need my bloody
Nice.
Where did I put it?
Squidger. Yeah, Squidger.
But with happiness, we all know happiness is a warm gun.
Yeah, who coined that phrase?
The Beatles.
Was that the Beatles?
Yeah.
No,
It's either Paul or
I
George.
think happiness is a warm puppy.
It's Luke is Adelaide. Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking to someone in Adelaide.
All right, I'm going to do a bit of orange peel because I'm sophisticated.
No, dude. I'm gonna go to Adelaide. Everybody knows everyone. I can make a
Yeah.
My dog just growled at me.
Why you didn't give him prosciutto or her prosciutto?
Well, probably a bit of that, and I'm disturbing her from her.
All right, because I'm sophisticated, I'm going to spritz a bit of citrus oil onto my drink and then twist it and
I
drop
think
it
it
in.
might be time for another Brandy Alexander.
So,
Or chocolate.
oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Because this stuff is not as sweet as Cointreau, which is what I had been using in my sidecars. It's a bit drier. So actual real orange flavour comes through a bit more rather than just sugar. Oh, this is good. Oh, that's good. Okay, I might see if Mrs. Angry wants to taste my Aussie sign card.
Oh, lovely. I'm just trying to think how long it took me to drink this vodka. I reckon it took
8 days
me
a week, maybe?
No,
Maybe you drank it 8 days a week?
No, I think it took me I kid you not, like 3 months to drink this. Almost 3 months, like 2.5, 2 3/4. I bought it at the end of March. I bought 1 bottle. And then, no, I bought 2 bottles at the end of March on like the 30th. And it's taken me 2.5, 2 3/4 months. Well, that's good. If it only takes me that long, 2 and
Well,
3/4 months to drink a bottle of vodka.
Well, if you really want to drink something that will knock you off your toes, drink Bushmills.
The Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm slowly trying to expand my palate. Like, for the longest time, all I would drink was vodka.
Yeah.
Like, because that's...
Yeah, my Irish grandfather recommended Bushmills a long time ago when he was still alive.
He's joining us too. Hello. Okay, we've got a full Brady bunch now.
Good evening.
Yay.
It's nearly 9 p.m, so I'm just going to disappear to do that, and then I'll be back.
All right. That's good.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yay.
So what have you been up
I
to?
like that person.
Me?
Yeah. No, it's because we'd all had a what we're up to today. What have you been up to?
Oh. Gardening.
Oh,
I've been
that's
getting
cool.
really into gardening lately. Yeah, I tried gardening like years ago and failed miserably. I think because where I lived at the time, my backyard had like no sunlight because it was surrounded by tall trees, and so everything that I tried to plant just died because it didn't get enough light.
Oh no!
But now I've just been upset. Like I keep going to Bunnings and just buying all tons of seedlings.
Yeah.
From there, and it's all going really well. So that's cool.
Oh yeah. Nice. I remember when I went to Bunnings with Chopper Reed. He gave them an absolute hard time.
With
Chopper Reed.
What?
Yeah, he's a friend of my stepdad's friend.
Jesus.
Or was.
What was, yeah.
Yeah.
What's at the pub?
My stepdad's friend went to prison with him.
Wow.
Oh, God.
I saw Chopper once at the pub in Fitzroy, and we all got wobbly legs.
Yeah, my dad saw him in Wollongabba.
Okay. We're all sharing Chopper Reed stories now.
He signed my mum's top.
And
or a jumper. Find my mum's jumper.
Like not her boob.
No.
when my dad,
Not that inappropriate.
when my dad went to see him, there was like a Q&A session, and this lady was asking a question, and like she was talking too quietly, and he was like, "You'll have to speak up, love. I've got no ears."
Oh man. I remember when I went through.
All those people, otherwise I can't laugh at him. If he killed all those people, then I can't laugh at him anymore, and I enjoy laughing at Chopper.
Yeah. Oh, Grant Gregory, you didn't get the notification. Well, you're here now. Lumi remembered there was something she had to do, sort of just after she'd had an alarm set for, I think, 9:30, something she had to do. So they'll be back in a minute. But yeah, we're all Brady bunching it at the moment with the.
Yeah, I remember when I spoke on Google Plus Hangouts with Chris Hadfield.
Oh,
that
yes.
was interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's
Is it the space guy?
the Canadian space guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the International Space Station though, or was he?
Oh,
No, I don't
was
think he
he the
was.
one that did Space Oddity in Space?
Yes.
Yes.
It was great. My favorite thing I saw from one of the astronauts who'd been on the International Space Station for a while, when he'd come back to Earth, he was doing a talk for some school kids. He's going and he was writing something down on a notepad. And then when he finished writing, he put the pen here and let go of it. And of course, it fell to the floor.
Hey, what
And
are
then
you doing?
a second later, he went to grab the pen out of the air again. And he was really
Yeah, it was Chris Hadfield.
He went, no, it wasn't Chris Hadfield. It was one of the other ones. And
okay.
Because they're not used to gravity.
yeah, it was hilarious because he let go of the pen in the air, and then he went back to
I saw that.
He tried to grab the pen out, and he was really confused that the pen wasn't still floating.
Oh, that's
in
right.
the air.
He dropped it, and then he looked up.
Yeah, it's just hilarious
it to
that
go
they
up.
get so used to the 0G thing because they spend months up there, and
I'll live in 6 months.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I had an argument with a flat earther about all that.
Oh.
And then she showed me the website of the Flat Earth Society, and then I saw that the website said we got members around the globe.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on a moment, you don't believe it's a globe? You believe it's flat. How can you say around the globe?
Oh, the flat earth. I think when you see all
Why
that
would
flat
you
earth,
bother arguing with a flat earther? Just laugh at them.
I think half the people involved in the Flat Earth Society are actually trolls that are just trying to wind everyone. But half of them believe it. Half of them really believe it.
I thought the whole thing started as a joke.
You may be right, actually, Charlie. But you can start anything as a joke, and there's always some idiot who will believe it.
And you cannot believe it. You know.
Someone in college started a joke that they buried Paul McCartney, and then people started believing that Paul McCartney was dead.
Yeah.
No!
People, eh?
And now everyone is apparently hearing that Paul McCartney died a year ago and got replaced by someone else.
Yeah, William Shears Campbell or Billy Shears, but that's Ringo Starr's nickname as well. Is Billy Shears. That's Ringo Starr's nickname, and they think that Billy Shears replaced Paul McCartney. I'm like, come on.
Oh, speaking of the Beatles, have you ever seen the movie Yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I remember the bit where they saw John Lennon.
Yeah, that bit was really cool. Yeah,
I was like, just tell them the truth. Just be honest with them. Well, can I give you a hug? You need professional help.
Yeah.
I love the conspiracy nuts that think Australia isn't real. my favorite.
Oh, that is so fun.
And I'm like, I live here, and I don't think it's real either.
Yeah, they're cool.
Like, A is so far away, and B, all our animals are bloody weird. You've got
absolutely.
You've got koalas, and you've got platypuses,
For now.
a whole big desert thing, and you're like,
for me, it's not even that. It's the shit that at first we were following Britain because obviously we're colonized, and then somehow we ended up trying to be Americanized because we made a different agreement. And somehow, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and certainly having ScoMo as a prime minister is not helping. So I love the idea. Then who's leading us? I have so many questions. It's not real.
Whenever someone asks me what I think of ScoMo, I just say no comment.
oh yeah.
Because he's a human being, so I guess humans make mistakes.
In my opinion, that's nothing against him as a person. I just don't think he's not someone who's naturally good at actually progressing a community forward. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. I just don't agree with him on a lot of things. I'm sure he's fine for his particular group, but particularly as a non-binary atheist witch, and his demographic.
I'm a Christian and I should have a problem with that, but I don't. I have no problem with that because you're a human being.
We haven't
equal.
Exactly.
We haven't had a prime minister sit a full terms in John Howard or Kevin Rudd.
Oh God.
Or maybe John Howard. I'm drunk. I can't remember. But we haven't had a prime minister sit a full term in 15 years.
It's been a problem. There's been a lot of stabby in the back. And it's like, guys, sort it out behind the scenes. You don't need to know this shit. If you don't like someone, it's fun. It's not a popularity contest. Who can run the party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the musical chairs is a bad thing.
Well, I lost confidence in Kevin Rudd when he said Canada instead of Canada, and when he promised a free laptop to students.
Moment where I'm like, if I was drunk, I'm slightly tipsy now, but if I was very drunk, that's something I would do. I have enough friends to know not to do that while tipsy, but if I was drunk enough, I could do that.
Well, the fact that he can speak Chinese makes up for it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I mean,
there was
not
that
easy.
Press conference. There was a press conference with John Howard and someone senior from China and Kevin Rudd when Kevin Rudd was still opposition leader. And John Howard's doing his, it's trade. And then Rudd and the Chinese guy just start talking. And Howard's sitting there going, I feel so left
That was so cool.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
I'm currently eating my feelings from a stream I just came off that was D&D related because they mentioned deceased member, and I'm like, I'm not ready for this. How dare you?
I mean, there was a press conference on China apparently invading our networks and stuff.
Oh my
I don't
God.
believe it.
ScoMo was lying.
I just don't believe it.
No, he was lying. He was basically saying there is a specific attack happening right now, and there simply wasn't. Yeah, there's activity, and China's probably up to some really shifty stuff, and it's not good. He was saying there's a specific cyber attack happening right now, and he was lying. He wasn't mistaken. He was lying, and he knew he was lying.
Yeah.
He did the whole
Not even
child.
Julian Assange is silly enough to do
That was
that.
a massive fucking lie. He just lied to people that fucking refugees were throwing their kids overboard. And
that's bad.
like, as someone who grew up in
they
zero government because of the shit that Howard did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just finished my beer. I'll be right back. I need to get another one.
Time for another beer. That's good. Oh yeah. Doggo's gonna keep us company.
Mm.
Oh my god, he's so cute!
It is a very cute dog.
I miss my dog Jasper.
Oh,
He had heart failure.
Oh yeah, it's always sad having to.
A King Charles Cavalier with heart failure.
Whoa.
Miss Charlie too much. Run into the next room.
I wish now I'm looking at Prime Ministers of Australia, and I think the last time that was actually elected to be Prime Minister was Tony Abbott when he defeated Kevin Rudd. That was a lot, and that was in 2013. So we have not had an elected Prime Minister in 7 years. And before that, the previous one we elected was 2007.
Yeah,
So
we won an election.
That many Prime Ministers.
I mean, the only Prime Minister I really have a lot of respect for is the one I know, and that's Justin Trudeau.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's far from perfect anyway. He does dodgy crap all the time. I mean, yes, I like a lot of policy positions of Justin Trudeau's, and it kind of makes you feel, oh no, poor Catherine's looking at the empty bottle. Is there
still memory issues, and I'm drunk. So, yeah.
That sounds awful, Catherine. So you periodically get disappointed all over again when you see the vodka bottles empty.
Yeah. Well, apparently Justin Trudeau is separationist, like, wanting Quebec to be separate from the rest of Canada. That's just a conspiracy theory, though.
Oh, yeah, there are ridiculous conspiracy theories. There's legitimate things you can be angry at Justin Trudeau for. Getting such a laugh out of Charlie's dog.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie's dog is adorable. Is it a
that's why he's nicknamed Trudum.
But Trudeau's actually really intelligent.
I know. He explained, like, rocket physics or something along those lines.
No, quantum computing. He was doing a press conference.
Quantum computing. That's the one.
A Canadian university was doing some
politics and then like dog talk.
Yeah. The two, we've got to swap between politics and doggo talk. It's like
we find out what Charlie's doggy is first, please, because I'm drunk.
All right, my phone's dying, so I've got to go. Good night, guys.
Night, Lee.
Good night. Peace and love.
And Mungbean.
Love you.
So, Charlie, I don't know if you've actually told us, what's your dog's name?
Ludo.
Ludo.
Yes.
Is that from Labyrinth?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
That was
So
my
what
first
is
thought.
Ludo?
He is a mix of pit bull, mastiff, and Great Dane.
I definitely thought there was a bit of pitbull in there, but you can't tell with some of the mixes. Oh, he's gorgeous.
He's such a nice beast.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like the perfect mix because they're like really very gentle breeds.
Like when we saw him in the pound, he was just this giant beast, but such a sweetheart, and all I could think of was Ludo from the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
So that's why I named him that.
That's perfect.
What a cutie.
Sarah in the comments is asking how old Ludo is.
He,
All right, crack the vodka.
I think he's like almost, not quite 2 years. Almost.
Wow, that's only 2 years old.
Possible a
And
bit of
he-
growing.
And he weighs at least 45 kilos.
Wow.
Oh,
But 2 years, he's still basically a puppy, even though he's huge.
still a baby.
Yeah.
He's the biggest baby, and he thinks he's a tiny. He thinks he's a tiny baby puppy that can just lie on my lap.
Yeah.
Big dogs think they're lap dogs. What state are you in?
Queensland.
Damn it. That's not close enough to South Australia that I can be like, can I come cuddle your dog?
That sounds fun.
I'm in Harvey Bay.
Well, if I ever make it up that way again soon, I do have a few friends that live up in Queensland.
Yeah.
Come whale watching.
Can I have Ludo time, please?
Yes, he just wants to be everyone's friend.
I will definitely be his best friend. I love big puppets. They are the best. So cute.
Yes.
Aww.
Such a cutie. Love it. This is like half the time we're talking about the big issues, and half the time someone's pet's on screen. So we're all excited about the pet is on screen.
Okay.
This might have to be my last one because I just poured a quarter of a bottle of creme de cacao on the kitchen floor.
Oh no! Oh, speaking of, okay.
That's going to be good for the ants in the morning.
Oh yeah, you want to really clean there. That's a lot of sugar in creme de cacao.
Yeah.
And he's now mad at me because he got fed with cat food and not with the slow that I made because I'm not giving him slow cooked pork.
Oh no!
Oh, yum. Yeah, my slow cook is still going. Like, I put it on at the wrong time.
Oh no! Well, this was supposed to take 5 hours and only took about 4.5 hours to slow cook, so I'm pretty impressed.
Eh,
So good.
Yeah. Mine still takes another 20 minutes, and it's like, not going to be ready till like 9:45, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like,
So annoying.
yeah, and I'm so hungry, and I think that's why I've drunk so much. Because I just finished that bottle of vodka.
At least I'm back on the laptop by the look of that.
Yes, but beer is harder than anything else. So for some reason, 2 beers is my limit, but I can drink way more if it's like cider, wine, or spirits. I don't understand how that works.
Spirits and beer? How does that work?
I don't know. But I had to use
because beer is like bloating.
It could be the bloating because that's not a
Yeah, all the carbs. Yeah.
I don't know. I prefer Molson to a Canadian Club.
I've never tried that.
Yeah, I had
there's stuff in the freezer.
to clean the mess that they
I just fed Shaylee.
Oh,
hang on, I've got
and so I drank the second to last bottle. The last bottle is reserved for my hairdresser, who I promised it to, because I gave him a mystery bottle when he didn't know what it was, and he was like, "This is the best beer ever." I'm like, "Yeah, I think I've worked out what it is. However, I'm giving you the bottle and some vegan banana loaf," and he's like, "Okay, I'll take your goods."
Yeah. I mean, Molson's tastes a lot better than any American beer you can ever try.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm
This
being
one
biased because it's
is from
Canadian.
Boothworth. Like this one that I've got that was a mystery unlabeled beer that's come to South Australia to get labelled, but is from Victoria. I think I've worked it out from the bottle that it could only be a Beechworth beer. And there's a particular anything from there that doesn't ale, and that's what this ale is. It's so summery and fruity. That can be the only thing they're drinking, but because they fell out the truck, they either had to play or because I put the guy playing off the road, he was like, "Do you want these beers? Because I literally have to throw them away." And I was like,
Yeah.
So I overdrank my limit at the start of COVID lockdown, and I drank 2 liters in one night and became very quickly suicidal, which was a bad idea. Lesson learned. No matter how old you get, 2 liters of beer for me is just way beyond my limit. So I've had my 2 glasses today, and that's plenty.
Well, that bottle of vodka I finished was the day, I'm not sure if anyone remembers the story, how I went and bought vodka and then went to the doctor.
Yes.
That was how long ago I bought that. that was 3 months ago. And I bought 2 bottles of vodka that day. And I've just opened, just then, bottle number 2.
Oh, that's okay then. That means you're not drinking excessively.
Yeah. Do you remember that story, Angry?
Vaguely. I mean, my brain doesn't remember.
Yeah. But the whole point was it was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Anyway, you've been tracking your alcohol usage on a spreadsheet. How long has it taken you to drink a bottle?
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, I was just cleaning something.
Depends how big the bottle is.
Okay, this bit of flavored vodka here, there's about 200 mils of this left.
Yeah.
This is the last of a 1.25 liter bottle of vodka I bought from Costco earlier this year. Of all the stuff I've been adding to my spreadsheet this year, the only thing I've actually finished is a bottle of vermouth. But this was from a huge bottle of Costco vodka. This is the last bit that's left. So this is about 200 mils out of a 1.25 liter bottle. Just working my way through that. So, what it's highlighted is I buy a lot. I've bought 30 or 40 bottles of different things this year, including six or seven of them are tiny little sample bottles. But there's 30 full-size bottles I've bought this year, but I haven't finished any of them.
My brain right now tells me that I have alcohol that I could go make, and that would be fine because of what I'd be mixing it with. But I know that if I mix that with beer, I'm going to be very sorry tomorrow because for some reason beer and I are not.
Yeah, there can be lots of reasons for that, including it can just be psychological. But again, when I say just psychological, that doesn't mean it's not real. It's real. But
sorry, I just wanted to show off this bottle. There's nothing in it, but my mum gave me this for my birthday.
Oh, I've got that one.
You had this one?
Yeah, the Alien Head vodka. Yes.
I went through that pretty quickly. At the time, that was back in April.
I bought it because it was on
bottle,
special at Dan Murphy's, and I definitely wanted the bottle. It was $10 off or $15 off or something. So it was the same price as a cheap vodka because of the special. But it's I get a decent price vodka and I get the cool Alien Head bottle. So, yay.
Safa has said, because I had slow-cooked pork, Safa's pointed out they had slow-cooked steak and gravy for dinner with potatoes, which also sounds amazing.
Wow. That's
Luke said that me talking about this the only beer that I've determined this bottle could be from because it's such a specific bottle. The only brand that I've traced it back to is this Beechworth brand. Bringing it to South Australia reminds me of the ad we used to have of come to South
Australia. The West End one. It's like, they'll keep the Vic away from our beer.
Into the fake background because we didn't want the Victorians coming to South Australia, which adds Victoria.
And they're like, where's the footage? Victoria.
God, oh my God. I've noticed that like every time Victorians come to Queensland, they won't shut up about how shit Queensland is.
Which is really obnoxious. It's really obnoxious.
It's just mean. I mean, one of my lecturers is from...
Does every state bitch about every other state?
Yes, Catherine, that's true. That is absolutely true.
But I do love, like, as someone who's born Victorian, mostly raised South Australian, but has also lived in Queensland, the only states that I haven't been, well, the only areas I've been to are, like, Tasmania, WA, and Northern Territory. And I want to go to Northern Territory mostly because, like, of the giant crocs. Who does not?
Yeah.
The only places I haven't been to is
what, you're gonna fight them?
Northern Territory in Tasmania.
I want to go to Tasmania for the food because their food is amazing. But also, one of my friends here lives in WA. However, it's still a fucking eon in a flight over to WA from SA. So I'm like, I love you, but can you make it?
I've done that before, and my brother was like 18 months old, and my stepdad sat on his arm on the plane. He screamed for like an hour. Like, not screamed, like just cried because he was 18 months old and his dad sat on his arm. So,
oh no.
Oh yeah, and I was in the row in front, and it was just like that cliche baby that won't stop crying. It was like 20, 30, 25 years ago, but I still remember it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sorry, you go.
Having an opinion at all.
You don't have an opinion. I laughed at the last time
I have no opinions.
The last time I flew up to Queensland was for my cousin's wedding. He's from here, but his partner's from Queensland. From England. Wow, okay, brain. So Queensland was the interim between South Australia and England, which I'm like, it's not really, but I guess everyone had to fly. So we went to Toowoomba for the wedding, and our flight got delayed by several hours because my older sister had booked the flight through Jetstar. The reason that I don't fly Jetstar. So we had the most adorable child on our flight who was right behind me in the seating, and he was so excited because it was his first plane trip ever. And he was so good the entire flight. Like, he made everyone around me laugh. We were flying out several hours delayed, and we were not mad because the kid was like, "Oh my god, we're going to take off!" And we're like, "Oh my god, we're going to take off! This is exciting!" Yay! So when we landed, we're here. And we're like, "Fuck yeah, we're here, kid! Let's all be excited for you. This is your first flight. How amazing is that?"
Yeah.
I love kids like that. They're like the time in the world for.
Yeah. I remember, sorry, not so much kids, but I remember a friend of mine, well, actually a mutual friend of Azi's of mine, someone Azi's directed in a few shows, a stand-up comedian, and he put a bit in his routine that was, it was a bit risky with a lot of audiences, but he spent one summer working in what you'd basically call a sheltered workshop. It was people with varying degrees. Yeah, it was people with varying degrees of mental disabilities. Some people with Down syndrome, some people with fairly profound autism and whatnot. And he spent like 6 months working with him. And he just said You know, it was the most positive workplace I've ever been in because they were excited by everything. It was like every lunchtime, everyone would go, "It's lunch. Let's sit down and have lunch." And he's going, "Every office I've been in at lunchtime, people go, what do you want to do for lunch? I don't know. Maybe get a burger, maybe get some good." And he said, it was so rewarding to work with him because they were excited by stuff, and also because they knew that he didn't have any sort of mental disability. So they just thought like, well, you're in charge of us. And he's going like, okay, so I'm everyone's king. They've like voted me to be king. I'm in charge. And he spent this 6 months of going like, okay, I'm like the king of everyone, and they want to get me to come in on everything. But of course, a lot of people thought he was being condescending or actually biased. But he's just like, no, genuinely, this was my favorite job I've ever had. Everyone was always so positive, and it made me hate every office I've ever worked in, which I thought was really funny.
The thing is, the people who work there absolutely love it.
Yes.
But if you actually do the math, it's daylight robbery, bordering on slavery.
This guy, and I know exactly what you're saying, Catherine, but this guy, he actually was working with one of the more reputable non-profits that was actually paying award wages. So I know exactly what you're talking about, Catherine, because where I grew up in Western New South Wales, there was a group, they've changed their name. They were called West Haven when I was a kid. And they were quite exploitative. But this guy, Dave, he worked with a non-profit that made quite an effort to pay award wages and
excellent.
But it was so funny hearing him say like, people think I'm making fun of everyone I was working with. No, these are the best people I've ever worked with. They were positive about everything. They never played stupid games. They were always genuine. Like, yes, it was kind of childlike, but they were always honest and genuine. And he's just going, I've been so used to adults being dickheads, to work with adults who didn't play these games was so refreshing and made it such a good place to work. But he'd often get people think that he was being insulting or condescending, and he's like, oh, whatever.
Well, you would absolutely hate it if you were in Mensa and you caught up with people in Mensa, because all there is pissing contests. It's like, oh, I'm the smartest.
Mensa's actually a scam to get gullible people to pay membership fees.
But they're supposedly very smart people.
Yeah, but it's basically a scam to get people to pay membership fees, and because you flatter them, you tell them you're smarter than everyone else, and if you pay this annual membership fee, you get a little card that says you're smarter than everyone else. And Mensa is ridiculous, quite honestly.
Yeah.
An ego stroker.
Sorry, what was that?
It strokes their ego.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely right. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and they go, congratulations, Gerald, you're in Mensa. That would be Gerald talking to himself.
Yes. There's a really funny podcast done
They're
by.
not supposed to have meetings.
They have meetings and they have Facebook groups. They have annual conventions. There's a really funny podcast called My Year in Mensa by an American comedian, Jamie Loftus. She when she did, I don't know, some joke with a friend, she did the Mensa entrance exam. Like, you have to pay $30 or something to do the entrance exam. And she expected to fail because she didn't think she was smart. And she entered, and she greeted the news with Mensa was accepting her by going on Twitter and saying, hey, guess what? Mensa's accepting dumb sluts now. And But if you want a good laugh and a really interesting insight into particularly the American branch of Mensa, which is very sort of right-wing and scary and obnoxious and bigoted, find the podcast My Year in Mensa, and it's really interesting because she kind of took notes at all the Mensa meetings she went to, and they all hated her, and it was like...
did the morning Mensa.
But yeah, you want an insight, that's a pretty interesting one.
Well,
even with typos, I was able to find it. So
yeah. But yeah, it's half a dozen episodes or something. It's worth investing 6 hours of your time because it's really interesting and it's really informative. And Jamie Loftus is really insightful and really funny. She tries not to just take the piss out of the Mensa people all the time, but I think she finds it really hard to not take the piss out of them all the time.
I mean, the way left wing and right wing work, the right wing accuse the left wing of creating conspiracy theories when they do it themselves.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, it's all pretty silly, but actually, speaking of podcasts, has anyone got a recommendation? Has anyone got anything that's really worth people catching up on?
Not really. Most of the stuff I listen to are TV show reviews, episode by episode.
Okay. Oh,
the couple that I'd recommend that I've been listening to are D&D Escapism, which is great. It's like, who doesn't like listening to other people doing all the things, and you don't have to invest too hard into it if you don't want to. So the first one is my friend's one, which is Dice Casters, and they have a few different streams, but Keep It Eternal is currently my favorite, which is what I was listening to before I jumped on today, and I'm like both happy and grieving, and Kyle is an evil DM because he makes me feel all the feels. And it's like, God damn it. But another D&D podcast I got into this year that I've now caught up on, which is kind of terrible because now I have to be patient, which is not a virtue I possess, is D&D. Because normally, pre-COVID, they would have dinner together and play D&D. And so now what they're doing in the midst of COVID is donating their money that they would normally put towards buying food for their D&D games towards any charity. So they've donated to like the Australian refugee stuff that we do for asylum seekers. They've donated to American groups because it is an American podcast, but I love that they've kind of crossed those dynamics. And also just good podcast that's true crime, but also paranormal and not super serious is And That's Why We Drink. I've been listening to that for a while, and they're hilarious. There is
a really good podcast by Simon Sinek.
Ooh.
Really good. Simon Sinek is definitely a good person.
The most recent thing I signed up for is Harry Potter at Home, where they started reading. This is just at the start of May. They started reading the Harry Potter book, and every chapter is a different celebrity, and they're usually somehow tied into Harry Potter. So you've got people from the original films, like the first one with Daniel Radcliffe, people from the Child, like Ron and all that, and Fantastic Beasts, and they've got so far as the 11th chapter of the first book. So they've done that, and I just listen to that and go for a run. Like the first with Daniel Radcliffe. So
Yeah.
I have trouble taking J.K. Rowling seriously.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Rowling, but like I grew up on Harry Potter, and it's sort of it's hard for someone who she literally doesn't believe exists because like non-binary. Apparently, I'm not real, which I'm like, fuck, I'm not real. Can I stop saying hex? Because like, and hex.
Look, in the 80s and early 90s, gay people didn't think bisexual people didn't exist, you know? I mean, they get over it.
Yeah.
They do.
Sorry,
I think the problem with J.K. Rowling is because she's still denying that we exist. Like, it's so frustrating as someone who so closely clung to those books. Those books got me through an awful lot.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like, I remember I read the first book in the night. Like, I got it at like 12 and finished it at like 12.
I feel like somebody's gotten into J.K. Rowling's head because she was, you know, I mean, those books were inclusive and.
But the point is,
but never had
gay characters in it. Those books never had gay characters in it. So her saying that she doesn't believe in trans people because it's a problem with a butch lesbian. Fucking show me a butch lesbian in those fucking books. There is not a single damn one. She never made someone openly gay. She purposely denied it, made it heteronormative. So don't fucking come to me with some bullshit agenda saying that trans people aren't real and non-binary people don't exist. Because fuck you, we do. And your bullshit agenda of you're protecting your bigoted lesbian friend, guess what? Lesbians can be TERFs and they're a fucking problem in the community. We don't want them. The same as pedophilic gay white men. We don't want them. However, they exist. So let's do it rather than saying a whole group of people in the community who are fucking valid and have been erased throughout history because people kept burning our histories like the fucking Nazis. Like, stop erasing us, actually acknowledge us. It's so fucking infuriating. Sorry, I like that.
Don't be sorry. That was well said.
You don't have to apologize to me for Lance Salumi. You know how much I love rants. So when someone gets their passion on and goes on a really powerful rant, I'm like waving the flag, going, "Yes, do it."
Yeah.
She said, "Dumbledore gay." Fucking where was he gay? He wore a flower hat in one scene. That does not a gay person make, and also not all gay people are effeminate.
Yes.
Yeah. So where was the underlying text? There was nothing.
I know, like
that reminds me of
to say your character is gay from the start, or at least plant the seeds to admit that they're gay more than about like halfway through. But you just said it retroactively, and we're like
it's all red herring when it comes to J.K. Rowling.
You look like you really want to say something.
Bloody disappointing.
I thought
it's just
that
bloody disappointing, you know?
That it was implied that Dumbledore was gay for Grindelwald, but that in itself is kind of cringy because Grindelwald was a wizard Nazi.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Like, oh, he's a Nazi. I'm totally gay for him, guys. Maybe that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, I'm gay for Nazis.
Nazis, like just maybe.
Yeah, very dodgy stuff. Yes.
I remember when I went to a party and some guy was like, "Oh, Mick Gatto's Hitman, blah 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 blah," and he kept talking, and I'm just like, "Dude, no, you're not." You tried to be the head of the party. And I'm just like,
I think that I may have hit my limit.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I hit my limit before I signed on tonight.
I think I actually hit my limit before I made this, but yeah.
It's
so long due past. All my words are mixed up.
Bye. Good nighty night.
Good night.
Invisible Chicken has just said, like, in the chat, I really wanted to rant tonight at my parents for being racist. Totally understand that. Not necessarily my parents, because actually my dad's, like, really fucking woke, which is amazing, because, like, my dad's 56, 57, and is so, like, in the last few years he's been really, like, actually actively listening to people and taking on stuff, which has been amazing. But, like, I've got friends that I'm just like, guys, you no. Invisible Chicken hates Dumbledore. He actually supported Grindelwald in the beginning. That is another thing. Like, Dumbledore supported his, like, unrequited gay romantic love interest just cause gay love interest, which is, like, so fucking problematic.
But also, was the wizard Milo Yiannopoulos.
Was so okay with sacrificing a fucking child to a Nazi agenda. Let's talk about that. That's fucking frustrating, isn't it?
Well, and he supported Voldemort as well.
I mean, the line where you'd be raising this kid like a pig for slaughter. Like, once you hear that line, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. If we knew that Harry had to die from the fucking start, someone just attempt to kill him and then bring him back. Like, can we not just get this out the way? Also, fucking tell him, communicate. How is this difficult?
Yeah, exactly.
I understand this isn't a real world situation. It is very much a fictional book, but fuck me, it shits me so bad.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, probably as a 3L.
And then when you get to the end, it was kind of like, oh, wait, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, you're like, wait, for this shit. How did we get through 7 books for fucking he has to die and then choose to be alive again? And then we get some bullshit ending where for some reason Draco is with some fucking weird bitch. And I'm like, how did you not end up with Hermione? How did this not happen? I am mad.
Here's something really interesting about Harry Potter. Draco would have been the main character given different circumstances. He would have been the hero of the story.
Yes, very that. Very that.
Back to the Future, Marty is not the main character.
And I'm sorry,
I really like
the tearing out of the page in the second book is how Hermione got the fucking page about the whole thing to do with people being I can't think of the word, it starts with a P.
Petrified.
Yes, that the petrified. How do we not know that the page was the page that Draco tore out of the book at the start of the second fucking book and movie?
Yeah, it's weird.
I like the theory that that Neville was the chosen one the whole time.
Yes.
Oh.
It would have been so much better if that was the case.
Poor Neville. I love Neville. He got fucking sold short. He had so much potential, and J.K. Rowling didn't dirty. I don't agree.
It was all lined up for that, but no.
Yeah.
Well, the Dudleys got sold short because Harry was a bit of a brat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the theory that you can read about the Dursleys, that the reason they hated him was because he was a Horcrux, and because like they portrayed him better in the movie, how in part 1 of Deathly Hallows, how Ron was wearing the locket and it turned him into a jerk. The reasoning is that the Dursleys were hanging around Harry, which had the Horcrux,
which made them hate him. Yeah. Emphasize their bigger
theory, but I don't buy it.
Like they just used the magical world because they'd purposely cut ties with Lily and James because they were witches and wizards and they were in that world. But having a Horcrux or a negative energy around that is going to only amplify that, which is probably part and parcel. It's not the entire reason. They obviously already didn't like that. But rather than treat him like a normal child and trying to like raise it out of him, as in like nature versus nurture. They didn't. Kind of impressed him, and then that became a problem because like the letters, and then like I love that the logic was like, if we flee, letters won't follow in a magical fucking world. How does that work?
That's maybe one of the reasons why Harry Potter was so popular among like queer kids, because it had that element of like that whole pray away the gay kind of thing.
That's why I identified with it.
The line about no one should spend, not in the book by J.K. Rowling, that no one should spend their lifetime living in a closet.
Yes.
Exactly. He literally lived in a closet.
Yeah, we should leave it there.
Now, someone just pointed out that the Weasley twins were set to come to Australia this year. From the time I heard, international travel is not set to commence until 2023, which I find interesting because Alan Cummings was openly bi when I was a kid, and being bi wasn't a thing, and that helped me realize that I was bi, but then also now pan. And I love this. But he's like, Alan Cummings just put out a thing going, I'm coming to Adelaide next year, and I'm like,
oh, cool. Too bad it's not happening.
Meet you? Can I kind of just hug you and like get gay energy from you? Because I fucking need it right now. How do I?
He's one of the people that you could, as a kid and a young adult, you could never quite work out what was the deal with him. But once you know his bias, pan, what is it?
Once I worked out that Alan Cummings had been married to a woman and then left her, and then however many years later married his boyfriend, I was like, oh, okay, so that's allowed. I didn't know that was allowed. Suddenly that makes me feel a very different way about my damn self. And then like it became an open acceptable way. But I was like, thank you, Alan Cummings. And I cannot think of the name of the chick who played Rogue in X-Men, Anna Paquin. Those are my whole childhood, because they were the only two openly bi people I had, and they're both freaking amazing.
Speaking of Alan Cummings, have you seen Tin Man?
Yes!
Yeah. It's so good. It's like a steampunk Wizard of Oz themed mini-series of the Sci-Fi Channel, and that is so good. It's
just anything that I will essentially eat. From Josie reminds me like things like Spy Kids, I'm on board for. I will make it gorgeous and sexy. I don't care.
I mean, I'm still going through my what am I calling it? The Excel spreadsheet I've got of all the shows that I want to watch in lockdown. I'm like one disc away from finishing Buffy.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
So good, but the end is so just weird and so many different things.
Yeah, and because I've been switching it with Angel, like doing it almost disc for disc or episode for episode, so I can get all the crossovers.
I so want to know your feelings at the end of it once you've gone through all of that and the Angel crossovers, because it's so.
Like I've had them for years, but I've never sat and done it.
Probably,
And I've got the season 8 comic on DVD.
Yes, comic is so good.
Yeah, I know. I got to like episode 20 of Angel and episode 21 of Buffy. So yeah. But then Angel came on, and then I'm like, yeah, let's go do Angry.
Now Buffy's going me all kinds of ways, and I want to go watch it.
Please try to say something.
My favorite TV series is Fringe.
I haven't properly watched that yet. I've heard it so good.
Do you think Fringe
or up to season 3?
Did you think Fringe or Friends?
Fringe.
I'm gonna say mutant friend that's gonna hate you. I'm sorry, but it's gonna be an idiot. Friend. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll have
in
a
the
beef
comments,
burger.
we've got a
which is
discussion
very
about why
acceptable.
gluten-free food smells like farts. And maybe that depends as to what you're using as an alternative to flour. Proper gluten-free food shouldn't smell like farts.
I think it's just saying cheesels. Cheesels.
Oh, just cheesel? I've never had gluten-free cheese. So admittedly, any gluten-free food I have, I generally make myself for the people at work who are gluten-free and or vegan.
Well, I tried gluten-free Dominoes and I hate it.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work. You can't.
Dominoes is just
If you want to
disgusting.
make it, you've got to make it yourself. Otherwise, it's just not done right. Domino's does not have the ability to make it good.
So I watched Charmed. I was too young to stay up late enough to watch Buffy, so I watched Charmed.
Yeah.
Charmed was one of the reasons I became interested in witchcraft and sent me on a very demonic path.
Oh, I thought you were going to say women, and I was going to say music.
Also, just slightly that way.
Anyone try and watch the new version?
I
haven't seen
that. I just know that I'm going to have expectations for the new season that it will not meet, and I need to wait till I'm in a space where I don't have unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying, like, as a bisexual woman, Charmed was very important.
Yeah, so very.
I think every bisexual woman I know says that. So.
Also, Xena.
Yes, Xena. Yes.
I remember that. Like, I'm not bi in any way, but that was just. And that
Xena and Gabrielle, that was blatant. Like,
yes, and also I loved as an adult coming across a series. Oh my god! Now my brain will not think of it. I'm going to look it up. It was a series with a succubus in it. Lost Girl, right? Lost Girl. That series, there are so many characters that I have so many feelings about, and I'm like, this is why I'm Dan Pan. Because, like, fuck me, don't give me so many personalities to choose from, because I just want everyone. It's not fair.
That sounds familiar. Yes, I've heard that a few times.
I can't make decisions. God damn it.
Well, I'm actually going to go to bed now. We've really been getting into it here, but I hear bed in me. So thank you for joining, and this has been wild. I love it, Stella saying she was off doing some chores and just hearing all the Harry Potter rants, and that was really helping the housework go along now.
Okay, I'm glad we were able to magic that along.
Magic it along. That was nice, yeah. So look after yourself, everyone. It's been heaps of fun hanging out with you tonight, both on
and your puppy dog.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, can we see Charlie's doggy again before we go, or is it gonna Ludo away?
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat
he's gone into another room.
Fair enough. All right. Hopefully again another night. Look after yourself, everyone.
Another time.
All right. Have a great night.